Hello, everybody. I am back. Last week, I had the delight of watching QUIZZY Monday from my Airbnb in Torremolinos, Spain. And thanks so much to Lewis and John for hosting in my absence. I really enjoyed watching. I should do that more often. You want less of me and more of them. It was brilliant. So thanks to them for standing in. Now, I was in Torremolinos, as I said, and that was because I was at the International Quizzing Championships. I did a series of vlogs which you can watch on our channel to find out what happens when you get some of the best quizzes in the world playing some of the hardest quizzes. It's not all work. There's some play, but it was brutally difficult, but great fun and great to meet people like Victoria Gross from America, Sebastian Klusman from Germany, met people from Lithuania, Australia, all over the place. So check that out if you want to see what I got up to. Now, yes, we went there. Christmas is approaching and we did a cheesy t-shirt. You could get that from tinyurl.com/ATQ store, where you can buy other stuff as well that is quiz related, all of which helps us to keep the channel going. Another new thing is our newsletter. Let me put this video on. There's so much going on in the quiz world, it can be really hard to keep on top of it all. Let us do it for you with the All Things Quiz newsletter. News from all things quiz and from the wider world of quiz delivered to your inbox every Tuesday. Sign up at allthingsquiz.com or scan this QR code. So tomorrow's newsletter is primed to go out now. Our What is Question winner last week was Dan Adler. The answer was Sister. His question was the Duchess of Devonshire, John Betjeman's crush, a communist author of American funeral rites, an unmitigated snob, and two Hitler fangirls all had what familial relationship to each other? Well done, Dan. The next answer in need of a question is pond. People have submitted their questions. We put it out there yesterday. You can now vote at tinyurl.com/WITQ pond. And on Wednesday, we will release the vote to try and find a winner. So look out for that. And one more thing. Lunchtime quiz time every day between 12 and 2 on Twitter and Facebook. This question was sent to us by Harry Heath. Thank you, Harry. Harry's been on the show. He's on this current series of Only Connect. If you want to send a question in to lunchtime quiz time, then direct message us or email allthingsquiz@gmail.com or info@allthingsquiz.com. So that's a lot of me talking. Let's have a look. People are in the chat. We've got some nice emojis, which I don't think come across very well when we put them on here, but they look great on YouTube. Gerard, your videos in Torremolinos were handy for showing a non-quizzer friend what I had been doing. Gerard, at least I didn't show them everything you've been doing, but yes, it was a good way of showing what that sort of event's about. Ed says Christmas. Look, officially Christmas doesn't start till December, but you know, with Christmas ordering times, we have to get in. Jack says sign me up. Presumably that's for the newsletter. So Jack, yep, just go and sign up. And if only you could get away with releasing merch with the names Quiz Akabusi or Quiz Team Aguilera on them. I mean, I felt bad about doing Happy Quizmas. I would feel terrible about myself if I did Quiz Akabusi or Quiz Team Aguilera. But, you know, if there's money in it, Michael, maybe I will. Look, we've got a great show for you tonight. We had some fantastic episodes of our favorite shows. We've got somebody from Mastermind on later. We'll talk about the Mastermind predictions competition towards the end of the show. We've got some of the victorious Open University team coming on. But first, we have players from both teams of Only Connect. So let me welcome on from the Roadies, Chris, and from the Stitchers, Rachel, Thea, and Elizabeth. Welcome all.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
It is great to have you on, Chris. Glad you could make it. Rachel, glad that your housemates are sending the emojis into the chat. Hello to the housemates.
Yeah, hi, Jack and Lowry.
Paul is saying, I wonder if Gareth can determine my real name from my username. I mean, Paul Lavery. I can't think at this time. I would be saying it's Paul Lavery, Paul, but oh geez, no, don't put me on the spot. Anyway, look, we're here to talk about Only Connect. Chris, Rachel, Liz, and Thea. This was a rematch, and how did you feel about
kind of coming up against each other again rather than facing fresh meat. Chris, what was your reaction?
So first of all, it was fun playing these guys. I had a good laugh backstage. They're a really friendly team, so that's important to remember. But it is also important to remember that we got absolutely demolished in the first game. And so when I turned up in Cardiff the day before filming, I'd been in London, and I travelled, and Aidan and Sophia were in a bar, and they looked absolutely crestfallen, like we'd already lost, and I was like, what's going on? What's going on? I was like, are we playing the Stitches again? And they're like, yeah, I think we are. I think we've seen them in the hotel foyer. We were like, oh, no, not again. So we were like, right, revenge is the name of the game this time. We didn't quite make it, but yeah, it was good fun.
It was a cracking match and a great effort, and it went right to the wire. Now, on the flip side, Stitches, you've had a win under your belt against this team. Does that make you feel kind of better about the game? I mean, Rachel, you were asked about kind of how you felt on the show, but is there kind of a pang of, can we do it twice? How did it feel when you found out?
I think we were quite excited to see the Roadies again, because we thought they were such a fun team when we played them the first time round in our first episode in March. And also, having played the Gunners, we felt like we were kind of against the big dogs. So I think the familiarity put us at ease a bit, because the one where we played the Gunners was so scary. It was nice to have something that we recognised going into our third episode, at least, I think.
Yeah, I think you guys were nervous in the hotel lobby, but we were just like, thank God, there's people we know here. It's nice to not have to do ourselves all over again.
Yeah.
And we had a good match against the Cribbages, which was the other team that was in our first filming session as well, and that had given us a little bit more confidence. So we weren't completely bereft of confidence, but it was quite funny to figure out names.
Now, on a bombshell, we've got, I wonder if Gareth can determine my real name from my username, because the answer was no until somebody said, Paul Lavery, hi, Lewis, your disguise hasn't worked. So I'm guessing, I don't know who We Like Shapes is, but I'm guessing that might be Lewis Jones in the chat. Jack Karimi saying, congratulations, Stitches, best of luck in the quarterfinals, although not too much luck, obviously. Need a rematch. Roadies got robbed.
Thank you, Jack. Yes, we did.
I do like you kind of flag there, Chris. Stitched up. I thought it was a really, really tight match for much of the game. The way I categorized it on Twitter was you were like kind of boxers just kind of sizing each other up, picking off a point with a jab. And if I labor this too far, this metaphor won't work. But it just kind of felt like neither of you was really kind of making a break for it. You were picking up the points, but nobody was kind of decisively taking a lead. When you're playing a game like that, and you dream of just marching ahead and getting loads of points, but when it's that tight, does it start to build pressure?
But yeah, possibly. To be fair, the last time we played the Stitches, we didn't score any points in the first two rounds. So the fact that at one point we were ahead of them, that was fine. Just finish the episode then. We were done. We were happy up there. But yeah, no, it does build up a little bit of pressure. We knew we had to be probably in front or level going into the Vows, because this is a very strong Vows team. So yeah, but I guess, yeah, but when you're in the moment, you kind of just forget about it, don't you? You just quiz.
Yeah. Same for you, Stitches?
I think that, we were just sort of trying the best that we could the whole time. If we knew things, then we were thrilled about it. And if we didn't, then we were like, well, we don't know anyway. So there was, I guess, a little bit more pressure, but I don't think it really made any difference to what we were doing, how much we were heckling the Roadies.
Sorry about that.
We love a bit of trash talk.
Yeah, there was some beef in the build-up to this one. There needs to be more Only Connect beef. It makes it more interesting on Twitter.
It does. It's so true.
Although I did see some people taking it seriously. So
yeah, people now think we have bad manners. Our reputation is mud.
No.
I mean, we do, but
Yeah, but that's
that was
what
what
we
we did before.
We controlled them in the studio. That's crucial.
Yeah, where it matters. Gerard says, Chris appears to be broadcasting from the darkness of the Mastermind studio. Oh, it's. I mean, I guess it's a lighting that reflects your mood, Chris. It's that kind of. Oh,
I'm just tight. I'm just tight on the energy bills. That's all.
So yeah, it was an odd round one. In the first two questions, you exchanged kind of steals from one another. Then you both got a point, and then you both got things on the third question. It was like you were mirroring one another, but there were some great answers in there. The track and field one, there were some light bulb moments, which when you're watching is just joyous. And the artist was another one. The time. Were there any of those questions that you particularly enjoyed getting and particularly felt satisfying?
Yeah, the stitches are really good at you. When you sat across, you're thinking, oh, they've got no idea what this is, they don't know it, and then they just bang, they just get it, and you just like there's this light bulb moment, and you can see exactly when they've worked it out every time, and it was so like you think they don't know, and then like after the second one, they know straight away. They were so great at just at pulling those bits of knowledge out. But the basketball one was good for us. You could see that they knew it, and obviously like you picked the wrong name, unfortunately. So that was a good one for us. But yeah, we were just glad to not be 8 points behind, just to be honest, like I've already said. But
yeah. Stitches.
I really liked the Pig Latin question, because when we were like working out what it was, we worked out what the pattern was, but I forgot what Pig Latin was. So at the point we were working it out, I felt like we were geniuses. I was like, this is actually this is an inexplicable pattern, and we found it. And then she was like, oh, this is a very common thing that people do, and I was like, oh yeah, it's a very common thing that people do. In the moment, I was like, oh my god, like galaxy brain, it's incredible. So
this was it. This is what you guys are so good at. You just like to switch it on. It foxed us, and I think we folded under the pressure, whereas you guys seemed to thrive under it. It was really good.
I mean, I don't think it's fair to say you folded under pressure, because I think this was a tightly contested match. But I think there were a number where I think there was a good bit of technique as well, Stitches. There's some kind of giving a bit of the answer and then expanding on it if you had to. So the kind of the Guy Fawkes one was kind of nice one where you kind of almost haggled your way to the answer. I thought that was quite good.
Yeah, technique's one word for it.
Maybe another.
On a slightly different topic, Michael McPartland is saying OC should encourage more people to go to that pub quiz on the Sunday. So this is about the filming experience, where we beat a team that randomly had Mark Lebet in it and another team that randomly had Barry John in it. We went to that when we filmed Series 10 as well, and we won it. Richie Parnell recommended that from Series 2. So did you get out and about when you were filming? Did you get out and about in Cardiff and do anything like that, pub quizzing, or was it more social?
We went bowling and we went to Spoons.
Yeah, that was it.
After we lost our second episode, I went for like a sort of solo walk / pilgrimage around Cardiff Bay, where I was sort of trying to like, because we got really superstitious, and I like went to this art centre that's in like a Nordic church and got a little painting that was then we had in our kind of good luck area for the next one.
We were never going to win, were we?
When I found the good luck painting, the Nordic Art Centre, I mean, like
trying episode.
I don't know how you can beat that sort of thing, Chris. I mean, there was a Doctor Who exhibition when I filmed down there, and that was just brilliant. Yeah, Chris Dyson is checking, is that Barry John, the Welsh rugby lesson? Yes, it was. Lovely guy. My phone ran out of battery, so I couldn't get a photo. Gutted. Round 2, that was a weird one, in that like half of the round just went dead. It was just, I don't know. Was it the questions? Was there, what was going on with yourselves in the studio? Was it just literally the inspiration wasn't coming?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I always find the connections round harder. I don't know how the Stitches feel. I always that's the round I found the hardest out of all of them, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I think watching it back, there weren't any apart from the screwdriver one. where it was something we could have got and didn't, apart from the screwdriver. So I think it was just like a round that didn't really have our sort of the ones we didn't get were just things we didn't know, apart from the screwdriver, which Lizzie did tell me to my face, you should say flathead, and I said we don't know. We lost the episode.
Sophia also suggested
we won. It's fine.
Having watched it back, when you said like we don't know, I was like, oh, I guess we don't know.
we just didn't know. We just didn't know. None of us knew.
No.
Well, I think
Elizabeth, as it turns out.
I think Aidan and I overthought it because I think we knew exactly what it was straight away, but we forgot. You forget you're on Only Connect, and when you watch it at home, quite a common thing in the connections round is that most obvious answer is always the last one. Generally, it always is. And so we overthought it, and I don't know where we went. We went off on our own thing, and Sophia actually said it's something with one, and we should have listened. Clearly, we all should have listened to our Sophias and our Elizabeths.
Yeah, Sophia had yet another good game though, didn't she? She's a very strong player. How did your team come together? How was it formed, Chris?
She's got a bad back from carrying us. Yeah, no, we met as part of Manchester Uni Rock Society in 2010, 2011. So showing my age now, but yeah, and we just remained friends ever since. And I always knew Sophia was a good quizzer, and I always knew she liked Only Connect, but we could never really grab a team together. So we found the missing piece in Aidan, who's a culture vulture. So, but yeah, Sophia's our generalist. She's absolutely brilliant, and she was marvelous in all our games, really.
Yeah. I mean, she played very well. Yeah, I mean, you all did. There was some. That Musicians of Bremen one. You know, I would never have got there in a million years. I was doing the old woman who swallowed a fly thing, but I thought I don't remember a donkey, but maybe it's translated from something instead of horse.
Never heard that one. No, that was again. It's one of those we couldn't even guessed it. We didn't know it. You know.
Who was the one responsible for girls and boys?
Rachel.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris, you're holding your face. But Rachel, that was yours one because I know that song inside out. I've known it for donkey's years. Didn't see it at all. Where did that click for you?
I think it was from Police and Heard. And I think also because we'd had in our one against the Gunners, the picture round that ended up being like the first 4 lines of House of the Rising Sun. I think off the back of that got a bit scarred and thought, got to keep an eye out for a sort of lyric question. Also, I love that song. And I don't know, it kind of came from nowhere, but once it clicked, I was like, yes, finally, a Rachel question. So yeah, that's my favorite question of all the episodes. Actually, I was really chuffed with that one.
Chris, were you kicking yourselves with it being a music one and you being the Roadies?
I've seen Blur twice, or 3 times. That one's lived with me. I've had to let that one go at some stage because that was the one. There's a few questions sometimes they're the ones that got away, and that was definitely one of them. But if you don't see it, you don't see it, and you just need that vision sometimes. But yeah, it's all good.
I mean, if it's any consolation, say I've listened to Blur for 30 years or so, and I saw the wildebeest and was thinking of 40 Towers, and what do you expect to see outside a Torquay hotel window? Herds of wildebeest going across the plain. I was thinking, what's next? Is it the Hanging Gardens of Babylon or whatever? I can't remember, but somebody in the chat will probably say. So I mean, it's a very good spot to see the last word of the line that you did there, Rachel. Fantastic. Begins and ends with the same letter. That was tough. Just coming up with what the fourth answer should be once you knew it was tough enough, let alone spotting it. So well done on that. So 5-6 to the Roadies at the break before you go into the walls. Chris, bearing in mind your first round experience, not having got any points, are you starting at that point to entertain a belief that this could be your time, that you've played your way into the tournament?
Totally, yeah. At this point, we're thinking we can really go and win this now. Like, okay, we were glad, all right, to just get off the mark, but now we're like, we could actually win this. We could actually go through. So yeah, we were feeling really good at this stage. We're thinking even if we maybe don't get the full wall, at least we're going into the missing vowels on like relative parity, and we can just give it a good go. So yeah, we were flying pretty high at this point. Yeah, it was good. yeah, feeling a lot better this second time around.
And you tackled the wall. You spotted a couple of the. Well, you certainly spotted the ranks one and struggled a little bit with it, but kind of picked it off. Then Sophia, spot of the night from your team, the bound skip one was just a great hit from her. I mean, John Wayne, there was another classic one of kind of giving part of the answer at the end and then filling it in. But the Native American ones, that was tough.
Slipped us by, yeah. We got lucky really because we kind of just, when you're into the final two categories, we just put one in and it worked. So we got a little bit of luck there. Yeah.
I mean, Catherine's putting in. OC was ridiculously hard today. 1 point until the missing vowels were a clean sweep. So it's very tricky. And here's an interesting one from earlier. Question about ages of number one artist was timely given the sequence changed last week. There you go. Well, we'll have to look for that one. Stitchers, watching the Roadies play that wall, were you kind of glad you got yours, or were you thinking? I mean, it's hard to know how you would have played it, but it seemed like a tough wall to me.
We would not have played it well. That would have been the end, I think. Yeah. So very lucky that we got the other one.
Yeah.
How does it make you feel then, Chris, to know that your choice of picking the wall proved crucial then?
It's just another injustice, isn't it?
I mean, it sucks to be you, Chris.
Hey, we nearly got full marks, I guess, but yeah, sucks to be us.
Yeah. I mean, you solved the wall, and that's kind of the dread of anybody who's playing the wall, is to be floundering around and having your guesses and not being able to get through. So you managed to pick up the critical answers. 7 points. Stitchers, talk us through your wall. You saw most of those groups, it felt, quite quickly, and particularly a little bit like the bound skip one. The critical thing perhaps was the fishing terms group. How did that feel playing it to you?
I think we did have our sort of categories quite quickly. Like, we knew we had Olivia's in there and all the like plague, disease sort of words. I think we didn't know who the actor was that linked to all the films until literally like when Thea said it at the very end. So I think like we'd solved.
I remember that.
We were a bit hesitant. I think it was a surprise to all of us when we then got it all right.
Yeah.
Category created itself. That wasn't really a conscious.
Yeah.
The Olivia de Havilland one's actually, I don't know if that's how you say her name, but that one was great for me personally because I think she's in Gone with the Wind. And I'd spent a couple of weeks before that watching Gone with the Wind in 3-minute installments on TikTok. So that was very convenient.
That must have
exactly how the director intended. That's how you should experience that film.
Wowzers. But Thea, then if that was you, because the answer given on that was all films with the same actor. I mean, was there one film that was your route in on that? I mean, blind of all the actors in all the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, you pick out Jude Law. Was there one that was a route in?
Well, first, there was a bit during the discussion where I was like, they'll have some guy in them, and then Victoria was like, it could. In the scene, she was like, some guy, it could have been a woman. I was like, but no, it was. I was in, because when we were going through it, as I said, we didn't know, so it was going through all the categories, and I was like panicking trying to work it out, and then I remembered that he's in Alfie, which I've not seen, but for some reason I knew he was in, and that was the only one that I knew. But I knew he was in it, so I was like, it's as good a guess as any. And then I think we were all very, very surprised, as you just said, when that was right.
Yeah. Inspired. I mean, when something like that comes off, you get your 10 points. Worst case scenario, you're still in there because worst case you'd be down by 1. Did you have a sense of what what sort of deficit you might be able to make up if you had to make up a deficit, or how the missing vowels could, because we've heard from Chris that he thought you were a great missing vowels team. Did you have a sense yourselves of how missing vowels might play out?
I think I had an issue in like previous rounds where whenever we went into missing vowels, I sort of for some reason had got it in my head that I was like, and now I must save everyone. And we did a discussion beforehand where like actually what was happening is like we all knew it and I was just speaking first. So I very much made an effort this time to not always be the one talking. So I was like, oh, I thought I was helping, but actually I was just being very, very rude. So I was sort of going into it being like, I'm not going to do that again because I felt bad about it. Yeah, that was my main thing. It was one of the ones like I really liked the categories. Like the thing about tea and actors, I enjoyed so much that even when we didn't get it right, I was like, Darjeeling Ingrid Bergman. Just like I was so happy. So that felt like a classic only connect vowels like category. That was fun. But yeah, it was. I don't know. It was a bit stressful, I guess.
I got my 3rd ever missing vowel, so that was really exciting, which I completely forgot about until watching it. And then my mum was like, "Oh, you got that," and I was like, "Did I?" Right.
I mean, I know you play a number of matches. Obviously, this is probably what your 3rd, is it, by now? So it does kind of the memories blur. But when you're watching it back, is there quite a lot that surprises you about what you're watching, about how the game plays out, and it's not quite your recollection?
Yeah, I didn't remember it being that close at all. And a lot of the questions, it felt like I was seeing for the first time, like the one with the numbers that start and end with the same letter, like that was fresh and new to me today. I like terrible memory at the best of times, but I think the stress of being on Only Collect, like I've blacked out a lot of the episodes, so it was like watching a whole new episode.
So you get to enjoy it as a viewer and watch yourself.
Yes, like I would be saying an answer like on my sofa at home, and then me on the TV would say it. And I'm like, oh, great minds, but it was my mind.
I have to say, I love that Darjeeling Ingrid Bergman and Chamomile Cyrus. Just great fun. Having been 2 points up going into missing vowels, to win that first set 3-1 puts you kind of 4 up. It's at that point you're feeling presumably that things are going your way, Stitches. Yeah.
I think by that point, yeah, but also I remember because we did our practice one with the Roadies right before filming the first episode, and I remembered from then that they were very good at the vowels, and so it was never like, oh, we're a few ahead, so we're going to win, because I was like, well, they are very good, so if they get a good round, then they could very well catch up or overtake.
Yeah, I think we really lucked out. Oh, sorry. I think we really lucked out in the first episode. We really lucked out in the first episode that musicals came up, and that wasn't so much us being good at vowels as me being a massive dweeb. But I see that it came across to you guys as like they're so good at vowels, and it was not that. It was just like I had 0 friends until like age 13, and that was all I was into.
Pam says she loved the T ones. On that bombshells, she's also saying, well done, Stitches, bad luck, Roadies, great game. Chris, yeah, from your side of things, when you're 2 points down going into missing vowels, you want to get a great start, and unfortunately you didn't. Was that kind of, mild panic setting in at any point?
No, because it's interesting about what you said about the warm-up actually, and how important the categories are, because we had a category that was right up our street, because it was about flags, and I'm a flag nerd, so I remember the flags one and thinking, and so it might have looked like we knew what we were talking about, but it just happened to be a good topic for us. So the topics are very important. So no, I never thought we were out of it, and there was some absolutely inspired answers on the T that I think was probably my favorite missing vowels round of the whole series so far, was the T one in our episode. So yeah, no, we never thought we were going to be out of it, and we kept in touch. So yeah, really, we drew the missing vowels, I think, just about. So
you did,
yeah. So we'll take that against a team like this.
Yeah. So Stitcher's 19, Roadies 17. Alas, that means we have to say goodbye to the Roadies. Feels like we've only just got to know you, Chris. But how would you sum up your experience on Only Connect?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah. We've watched it for years. We've always wanted to go on. It's brilliant. It's good fun. Great to view it, and actually enjoyed that episode more than I thought I was going to. And now I can enjoy the rest of the show without stressing about my own appearance. So yeah, it was great, and yeah, it's been fun. It's a great icebreaker. It's good. You get random people messaging that I haven't spoken to for years, going, "Wow, I just see you on the telly. Oh, that's cool." Yeah, I love the whole thing. It was great.
Wonderful. And of course, Stitches, you live to fight another day. Is that the quarterfinals you're now in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we look forward to that, which, knowing this series will probably only be in about 2-3 weeks because, I don't know, scheduling's weird. Not quite as weird as Open University Beyond twice in a couple of weeks. But coming off the back of this with another win, again, how are you feeling about your prospects now going into the quarterfinals? As a team, have you exceeded your expectations?
Yeah, I think we'd exceeded our expectations when we won our first episode and had to come back 2 months later and do all the other ones. So we were over the moon to even have more than 2 episodes. So anything from that point on was a bonus, definitely.
Yeah. Well, we look forward to seeing what happens in your quarterfinal. So, what were your highlights of tonight's episode? Favorite moment, champagne moment of the evening's quizzing? Chris, what was your favorite moment of the episode?
Samantha Morton was lovely. Darjeeling Bergman was lovely. That I enjoyed that. I'm still elated from being able to look Victoria Coren Mitchell in the eyes and say I will kill you on a previous episode. So I'll take that with me. But no, definitely the T1 from this episode.
Yeah, and just to point on that, because you mentioned that Samantha Morton one. Was there a pause in recording at that point whilst they panicked and checked IMDb?
Yeah, they had to come back. I think they had to come back to that one. Yeah, so yeah, we got lucky there.
Well, fortune favours the brave. So you picked up that point. So fair enough. Elizabeth, what about your highlight of the night?
It actually didn't make the episode, but we got to explain to Victoria about Katy Perry having blood on her hands. This is the question with Katy Perry trying to buy that nunnery. So that we spent about 10 minutes doing that. I'm not surprised I cut it out, but that was my part of the actual quizzing.
So what was the story about the blood on the hands then? Or is this not something that's fit for broadcast?
Oh no, it's public. It's all public.
It's out there.
She tried to buy this nunnery in California, and then the nuns didn't want her to buy it. So it ended up going to court, and then one of the nuns died in court, and one of the other nuns said that Katy Perry then had blood on her hands.
Oh wow! I never knew she was a nun killer. Wow.
Yeah.
On that bombshell, Thea, what was your highlight?
That was super good. I enjoyed it when I was when we were doing the wall, and I was like, "Oh, just some guy," and she's like, and Victoria's like, "Oh, it could have been a woman." And then when I got a vowel wrong, which I was very embarrassed about, she's like, "It's because you said some guy, and it was actually a woman." And because I found that really funny, and I was kind of like, "Oh my god, we're best friends!" Like, I can't believe we have all these in jokes now. Like, we're gonna hang out. It was just very fun, and I just thought it was cool. So yeah, I enjoyed that, even though I got a vowel wrong, but I will never forgive myself.
I think you can afford to forgive yourself there. I think you can.
Unfortunately, not. It's not on the cards, but
all right. Okay. Well, just beat yourself up gently then, because you're best bosom buddies now with VCM, so that kind of makes up for it. Rachel, how about you?
I think it would have to be that Blur question, partly because I love that song, and also because I went super specific with it, and I said the Parthenon in Athens rather than just Greece, and I've never heard the end of it from Lizzie and Thea. They're like, "Why did you say the Parthenon? That's so annoying of you." But I was just excited that classics was relevant in almost every episode. It's not every day or often that you get to use your classics degree. So I was like, Parthenon in Athens.
Parthenon as opposed to all the other Parthenons. It was a great get. Now we've got a few comments before we move on. We will be moving on. We've got University Challenge folk waiting in the wings we'll be getting to, and then later we'll be talking to Jonathan from Mastermind. But another T singer mashup from Chris Dyson, PG Tipsy Hustle. There you go. And Gerard, Samantha Martin was in 26 episodes of Henry Danger, whatever that is. So there you go. We'll all be box setting that before you know. It does sound amazing, Henry Danger, but Danger isn't his middle name, so perhaps not as exciting as it could be. Look, thanks so much for coming on, Chris. Commiserations, but glad you had a great time on Only Connect. I'm glad you could come on and chat to us. Rachel, Thea, Elizabeth, you get to live to fight another day, which means that I will be bombarding you with requests to be coming back on the show again at some point in the future. So thanks so much for coming on. We're going to play a couple of videos now. When we come back, we'll be talking University Challenge with Ellie, Mike, and James from Open University. So to Chris, Rachel, Elizabeth, and Thea, thank you so much for chatting to us tonight. Yeah, you've been great. Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
See ya.
Huge thanks to our community of All Things Quiz members. Your support helps us to keep this channel going. It pays for essential running costs. Now, if you want to become a member of All Things Quiz, all you have to do is go to patreon.com/allthingsquiz. And from £3 a month, you not only get to support the work of this channel, but there are a range of member benefits available, including our monthly quiz. Hope to see you soon. Well, there you go. Thank you to all of our supporters. You help us keep going. Now, University Challenge. It's only a couple of weeks since we last saw Open, and well, we were treated to another great performance by them this week. So let's bring on, I'll try and do it in seat order, Ellie, Mike, and James. Hello, all.
Hello.
Hey.
Sadly, we don't have Anne. She's not feeling so good, so we send all our love to Anne. But, I mean, there's only one place to start. James, whatever you were taking before that match, I want some of it. You were on fire in that game. I mean, what was that about? Did it just kind of all fall your way? But you were so fast.
Yeah, I think it was just I knew the answers to the questions very quickly before anyone else. I think it was the Costa shortbread I'd womped down in the brief interlude between the previous episode and this one. But yeah, I think it was just the questions were ones I knew. I didn't remember it being as much as that from when watching it. And I think, but it kind of petered out. Like I was more sciencey towards the end, so I think it kind of started well, but kind of the second half was more other people, which I was glad.
I mean, 9 starters in total is, by any stretch of the imagination, a superb performance. It's one that has garnered you a nomination for Quizzer of the Week, as we'll be mentioning later. It's an exceptional performance. Ellie and Mike, I mean, you both chipped in yourselves. You weren't too shabby. But when you've got a player on form like that, how much of a lift does it give the rest of the team?
Quite a big one, but it's also just you're kind of just watching slack-jawed over your shoulder. As you see kind of James go, you know, on a really diverse range of topics with almost no break before, you know, the question's asked and suddenly boom, he's in. And it's just really impressive.
Yeah. I mean, it was you got off to such a good start. I think that's the thing. You got 3 starters to really give you a nice advantage, which you never relinquished. I think
it was a much more when watching it, it was a much more like the last one we kind of dominated the first bit, and then the team kind of dominated the end. It was much more like back and forth. This one, I think.
Yeah, it's a lot closer than I remember it being at the time. Actually,
a lot closer than like 130 point difference.
Yeah,
watching it.
I mean, I think one of the differences, and to me as a viewer, and I've never been on the show, but one of the differences between the teams was your conversion of bonuses as opposed to their conversion of bonuses. You were scoring quite heavily, and they were kind of picking up maybe 1, maybe 2 at most. If they're going to fight back, that's what they need to be doing. They need to be buzzing and getting in, and then converting heavily. Mike, you know, did you get a sense of how the game was going, you know, fairly early on? Did you feel confident?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you said just then about getting that momentum going straight away, that really gives you quite a big boost because you feel like you're kind of on a roll, you're in a rhythm. And as James noted earlier, we'd actually already filmed one earlier that day. So you're kind of feeling a bit loose and warmed up already. Yeah. So I think, you know, getting a few on the board, just you can feel like you can kind of push a bit further. And also in our kind of first episode, I buzzed in early on the first and put us at -5, which completely set me just like, oh God, Whereas when you know you've got a buffer of points there, you don't want to do it again. It's a bit less terrifying to have a go.
Yeah. I mean, Ellie, one thing I noticed in this show, like we did last time, you guys were like so quick. You know, you were interrupting to give your bonus answers. You were buzzing in, you know, as if it was like, no, we've got to hurry to get the points because, you know, they might be out of stock if we're not quick. You know, you're so fast.
You know, well, that's just kind of how we play. It's not a tactic. It's just like we just go.
Yeah. I mean, the risk of that is that you get a neg. You did with the Pavlovian versus
Yeah.
You know, is that just the price you pay for wanting to be fast?
Yeah, I think so, really. I mean, I think, you know, ideally you're fast and accurate, but sometimes you kind of settle for one or the other. So, and, you know, we had a big enough lead that it was, you know, you could kind of be a bit bold with stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as a team, I guess maybe it comes in your prep, maybe it comes in your team selection or whatever, but there must be an attitude somewhere there of, okay, you know, somebody gets a neg, we just move on. There's no recriminations. There's no, oh, I would have known, that kind of thing. Do you naturally have that mindset, or was that something you would talk about?
We never talked about what happens if somebody negatives a point. Like, I didn't even remember we lost a point, to be honest with you.
I think the whole way through we've all been quite clear that it is a game and we're there to have fun. And if you're getting really stressed about it, it's less fun.
Yeah.
I think we're all just kind of sat there, certainly initially, just going like, this is completely bananas that we're here. Let's have a good time. And I think the part of the reason we're going so fast is because we want to do it more because it's fun.
Yeah,
and actually, I don't think our knowledge overlaps that much anyway. So, you know, I mean, like that Pavlovian thing, I'm not sure any of you guys knew the answer anyway. So,
even hearing the answer, I didn't know it. So.
Yeah.
It's, I guess, having lost your first game, and you lost with a score that was enough to keep you in the tournament. But having had that reprieve, does that kind of almost take the shackles off and help you enjoy it more? Because actually, it's almost like you got a free hit now.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, the first, like, the repechage, that was the attitude I had. I was like, well, this could be the last time, just enjoy it. And then this was like a bonus.
Yeah.
On top of that, just another episode, which I didn't think we'd win the repechage because we were up against, you know, Brooks, who had like 205 points in their first match, and like, obviously I didn't know what the score. We hadn't seen UEA's episode, but we knew they were probably good if they're winning an episode. So I just went in with just try and enjoy it.
Yeah. And it's great, and you know, and Anne's a good captain as well, isn't she? She draws good play out of you, and, you know, nominating the right people to give answers. We've seen some teams stumble by mishearing and then repeating things poorly, but Anne's a great captain, and everybody chipped in. Everybody got starters again, which again must make you all feel like actually we played a full part in this win. One thing I did notice though was how heavily Anne seemed to be hitting the button. I thought there was
so it actually broke in the end.
Yeah.
So if you see like the last starter and her hands go up, it's like because the buzzer actually broke, it just went flying off.
Yeah, she
but you don't see the sort of immediate aftermath, which is just all sticking her hands up like. And then they were like, yeah, just, you know, don't worry about it too much, maybe just see how it goes over the next few minutes. So we're like, oh, okay, must be sort of end of the show. Yeah, so they fixed it after we finished.
She was very keen to answer Reader's Digest.
Yes. Yeah, after that she just had to say buzz. She wanted to get in.
Raise her hand.
There was a comment made about you all applauding the Lanthamum answer again. I mean, Mike, is that characteristic of a team that's there to enjoy themselves and therefore just kind of appreciate the good stuff in the game?
I think that certainly part of the fun of anything only connects the same as when you see a really clever question. And I think that's a great picture round where it's just cleverly put together and it draws in a few different bits of knowledge and it's fun to watch. And then when you see someone get it, it's quite exciting. And, you know, throughout the tournament, you know, when we've seen people playing really well, we've been applauding them because they've done well. And again, it's it's a game where all let's have fun, and it's not, and it's the same both ways. Lots of other teams have been exactly the same. Everyone's there to have a nice time. Yeah, everyone's been good sports. But yeah, I think that was just, I thought that was a really pleasing concept for a question as well. I was like, oh yeah, that's a really good question.
Like above my head, I was so impressed of seeing them get them.
I was slightly frustrated I didn't get it because I sort of felt I should be. I mean, I knew all the bonuses, but yeah, no, I was genuinely impressed because, as Mike said, it's a great question, and yeah, she got there a lot quicker than us. So yeah.
Because it's a multi-step process, isn't it? It's like identify the county, then identify what its postal code is going to be, and then identify the element on the periodic table. It's quite a few steps to get there. It's very nicely constructed question. One question, James, which I figure may have hurt, and I might be wrong, but I saw you beaten to the buzzer on the Paisley question.
Yes.
And,
to be fair, her degree was on like the National Museum of Scotland, so she's probably more into Scottish culture than I am. But yeah, I think it was more on the railway question, the London Underground, because she works for the London Underground, and Ellie beat her to Reading.
Yeah, that's so mean of you, Ellie, to take
Well,
that.
I did actually used to live in Reading, so you know.
I did detect a smile on your face when you gave that up.
Yeah. No, but then UEA were mad when I beat them on the football question as well. So like, I actually ended up eating breakfast with them the next morning, and I was just like, "Sorry, guys."
Is there much of that kind of interaction between yourselves and the other teams over the course of filming, or some shows kind of keep you all separate in different green rooms or different dressing rooms? Did you get to see much of the other teams?
Yeah, I think this one we didn't get a lot of time with them, but Oxford Brookes, because there was like some issue we were there with them for like over an hour.
An hour, yeah.
And I found them on the tram on the way in when I was waiting for the same tram as them. A slightly kind of ragtag group of people holding like Oxford Brookes tote bags. I think I know where you're going.
Something you didn't keep a low profile and listen in on their
for a couple of minutes, and then I said hello. Once I
pushed them in front of the track.
Yes.
I was going to say very Corinthian, but now you're talking about reenacting Coronation Street's greatest murders. It's another thing.
Again, I think it's coming back to the same thing. Everyone's there to have it's a weird experience. You're there to have a good time, and most teams are there a bit nervous, and it's all quite odd to see having a chat, and it's nice people.
Yeah. When you said earlier about it kind of being a bit of a free hit and whatever, what were the expectations of the team when you went on? Was it not humiliate ourselves and have a bit of a laugh in one game, or back in your mind was it, well, I'd quite like to get to this stage or that stage?
No. I mean, I had quarterfinals in mind as a goal. But it was sort of definitely going to be luck of the draw question wise whether we got there or not. So I mean, I was sort of frankly happy that we didn't get completely humiliated in the first round, because that looked like it was going to happen at one stage.
Yes.
So
I just wanted to get one starter, right?
Yeah.
Well, you certainly did that. There's been some comments in the chat about your elephant, the elephant in the plaster.
Thanks the Les Mis film. It's the only reason I know that, because in the Les Mis film they have the elephant.
It doesn't matter how you know it, does it, James? It was good. So in terms of buzzes, the Babadook, James, what a great! I mean, I love that film, but that was such a good buzz.
I just heard top hats and was like, yeah, must be the Babadook.
And yours, Mike, your Austria buzz. I was sat there thinking, oh God, what is Jules in heraldry again? And you don't normally see a crest on that flag. So that was a great get.
I was just laughing to myself at the start, because I've been commenting, I think maybe the day before, about how the kind of heraldry questions, because it's such specific weird language, are just impossible. And then I just saw in my real job, I'm a wine buyer, and Austrian wine bottles have on the bottle cap the flag with the eagle. And I could just see the stripes and the eagle, and he said Moldova, and I was like, I know what it is. and he buzzed, and I knew it, and then he got it wrong, and I could jump it. So I was actually feeling very pleased myself, because it's a weird flag question that I got right.
It's a great answer.
It's really interesting you saying that, and James, it's Les Mis, etc. OU being a team comprising more mature people with perhaps more life experience than many of the teams. You're exposed to so many things that could be a route into some of these questions. Obviously, not like your hard science or whatever, but things like that. Did you feel that was, that could give you an edge in some of these matches, that actually just having been on this planet a few more years, you might have accumulated more stuff by osmosis?
Yeah. And I also think when you watch teams when it's really young players and, you expect them to be incredibly good at their subject matter, they're studying, but then their breadth is just so much more when it's someone who's 18, 19. I think it's so amazing to watch when you see these young men and women just having a bash. And, someone who's doing a DPhil in physics at Oxbridge, you expect to be really on it with physics. But when they can also talk about architecture and music and everything else, and, it's just awesome, isn't it?
Yeah. And I want to give credit to UEA because they got a decent score in defeat. And 390 aggregate is a good aggregate score. But there were some great buzzies. Jennings got some great stuff in Hayek, the Tau one, the Lanthanum one that you applauded. That they were a decent team. They were absolutely no mugs. You just didn't let them have a sniff.
Yeah. No, I mean, they were good, and they got very little support from the university apparently, because I think there's been a lot of upheaval at UEA lately, and they were saying they'd had very little support from the university just because there's sort of greater priorities. So yeah, I think they did do well. They're a great team, and they are nice people as well. So
they were lovely.
Yeah.
Which is I think that came across. They were a good team. They just came up against a better team. James, last time I tried to work out what was on your shirt and failed. This time, Keith Haring.
Yes.
Yes.
Someone on Twitter said it was this Tommy Hilfiger £80 shirts, and I'm like, well, it was actually $19.99 from H&M, but I'll take the thinking it was quadruple the price.
And Anne was yet again wearing an art shirt where she was Michelangelo. With the other, Ellie and Mike, were you not tempted to kind of come in on the finite clothing thing?
Can't compete. I mean, I have actually had a message from one of my colleagues saying that James should just have a future in TV with his wardrobe of shirts. So yeah.
Mine was a backup shirt because my original shirt was knowed by the wardrobe people, so I had to get changed behind the curtain.
That is so annoying when that happens.
Yeah, but it still wasn't. It wasn't quite as elaborate as James did. I think she had some stripes. That's about as far as I managed.
Well, I appreciated your clothing, James, and I look forward to seeing what's next. What were your favourite questions of the night in terms of maybe bonuses, maybe the starters?
I think my favourite starter was the Eleanor Catton one, just because I got it so quickly. About 3 words. That was my favourite. I think the bonuses I liked the Lord of the Rings one, the Gondor.
Good, yeah. I like those as well. I like the way that Anne went to you for the first 2 and then just was like, shit, Ellie!
Yeah, and she knew the hardcore Lord of the Rings knowledge was me, and then the English knowledge was that end of the team. But yeah, so I enjoyed even though we didn't get the Tolkien question right, we got the actual Lord of the Rings. And the Prime Ministers, I enjoyed Prime Minister.
Yeah, that was really
not recent ones, obviously, but old ones.
Yeah. Mike, any that you watching back you were particularly enjoying?
I mean, again, I just really enjoyed that picture around the Lanthanum one, because I just think it was such a good, well put together question and really fun to watch them answer it. Even though it wasn't our question, I was watching it back and I was like, I wish we'd got that because it just looked really fun to play.
Yeah, that was a good one. I mean, yeah, you did so well. Mercury Music Prize you made very short work of. Anne was shooting in that. You know how good she is at pop culture. Computation you did well at. Virginia Woolf novels. Again, you're picking up
that was great. Because they were sort of, Anne and James were talking about it and sort of not paying much attention to me, as you wouldn't, because literature is not my thing. And they're saying The Lighthouse, and I'm like, surely it's To the Lighthouse. And she said the lighthouse and it was wrong, and I was just like, guys, and she kept coming back to me for it in the end. So.
And I think every time Virginia Woolf had cropped up when we were practicing, James said the exact same thing just then. I hate Virginia Woolf.
Not for me.
So do I, to be fair.
Despite the Nicole Kidman connection, I do not like Virginia Woolf.
We've got a topical comment here from Ed. How about Prime Ministers who later became Foreign Secretary? Very 19th century.
From the House of Lords, no less.
I mean, it was just a great performance. As a team, you just seem to be getting better and better. Is there a sense of the more you do it, the more comfortable you feel in that environment?
Yeah, especially when they were so close together. I think it was just ease. I mean, I kind of it was a bit when we came in and we were on the side that we lost on the first time. I was a bit like, ooh, a bit superstitious. I was like, oh god, this is going to be a repeat. But I think once we got the first one right, I was like, okay, it's just like same as before. Just keep that. Focus on the next question.
I think you do get better in terms of having your finger on the buzzer ready to go and stuff like that.
Yeah. I guess that's something you can't. I mean, you can practice buzzer quizzing, but actually the feel of that particular buzzer.
Yeah, it's a heavy buzzer.
You have to get well. Sorry,
I have to. Yeah, I have to lean in
until you press it back, and then it's actually very light. But you press it too early because your brain's not quite there yet, and your brain's it's in there, but it's not quite making its way out. When it's like that, the buzzer's very, very light.
Yeah.
And very fast.
Well, I mean, congratulations, Open. From your 155 in the first round, which just got you through to the repechage, a very strong win 2 weeks ago. Very, very good win tonight, 260 points. Getting into that realm, Ellie, I think you were talking about, is it quarterfinals next, or is it, I lose track? Yes.
No, we are quarterfinals next. So.
Yeah. So you've got to be happy with that. How long was it between this one and the quarterfinals?
A month, roughly.
Oh, wow. So you had a bit of time. Did you do anything in that intervening period? Any prep? Or just
like our usual,
normal.
Practice, watching episodes, reading from the book, the OU book. I never revised anything. I know I probably said I did revise stuff, but I never did.
Now you reveal it.
Now I
So, to be fair, I did a load of revision, and I don't think there was one question that I answered on stuff that I revised. So it
always happens. It never comes up when you revise it.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I will, of course, be in touch next time that you're on, and see if you'll be able to join us again. But congratulations to Open University. Fantastic performance tonight. Very enjoyable to watch. I'm trying to think what my favourite moment was. I think it has to be the Babadook. I just love that film. Just cracking buzz. So yes, I'm going to play a couple of videos. So and when we come back, we'll be talking to Jonathan Paxton about Mastermind. So thank you so much for coming on, Open, and take care.
See ya.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye. Have you been waiting for a range of quiz merchandise to come on the market? Then wait no more. Whatever type of quizzer you are, whether you're a flashcarder, or you quiz with pride, or want to celebrate great quizzes like Millionaire Champions, or Bill McCaig, the king of 15 to 1, or your favourite TV shows, or even your favourite YouTube channel, where do you go? The answer's loading. It's tinyurl.com/ATQ store. So there you go. As advertised earlier, we've got a Christmas t-shirt, cashing in on Christmas. Go to the store, check it out, see what you might like. Now, delighted to bring Jonathan on from tonight's Mastermind. Hello, Jonathan. You've been patiently waiting backstage.
That's all right. No, that's okay. It's been a pleasure to listen to everyone. I haven't seen anything from tonight because I've been out all evening, so I've only got in about half an hour ago.
Well, there you go.
I just quickly scanned through my rounds on Mastermind on catch up. Apparently, they edited out all my correct answers and put a load of wrong ones in.
Oh, I hate when they do that.
Yes, I know.
We have a before we actually talk about that. If you've liked the episode so far, why don't you press the like button? And if you're not subscribed, press subscribe. So yes,
Mastermind. We have a Mastermind predictions competition running. Cast your eyes over the predictions for your subject. So for Quentin Tarantino,
none of those came up.
Rum Punch, Mr. Pink, Mr. Brown, Christoph Waltz. I mean, there's 2 Reservoir Dogs ones in there, isn't there?
Yeah.
And Christoph Waltz comes up in a couple of
He's
films.
been in a couple of films. Both won Oscars. Yeah. Rum Punch is the novel that Jackie Brown was based on.
Right. Okay. So you could see where people were coming from. Yeah. We did have a few of these answers that came in. Table of Ranks, I believe, came through. Ivan came through. What's that? Tar Steps. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and Tiro. Good job, Valerie's here, keeping me on the straight and narrow. So there were some good predictions that people came up with. Philip Isaac, 7 points tonight. Michael McPartland, 5. We had 3 players get 3 points for guessing a general knowledge answer. So lots of points scored tonight. Philip, 7, Michael, 5. This is all subject to audit. If you've got any queries, then let us know. But we reckon the table looks like this now. Philip Isaac has overtaken Ed Mason, but he's very tight at the top after 12 weeks. There's still probably something like another 20 weeks to go. So anybody can win it, particularly if people are scoring 7 points in an episode. So remove that. So Jonathan, is this your first time on Mastermind?
Yes, my first time on Mastermind. I did only connect last year.
Yeah.
And that sort of gave me the spirit to go and want to do something else. And they let me on Mastermind this time. I think I applied for Sports Master. Well, I did apply for Sports Mastermind, but that was about 15 years ago. And I can remember getting a phone call one day off a researcher, sort of randomly going, "Oh, hello, can we ask you a few questions?" And I was like, "Oh, complete." I was like doing the ironing or something. And I didn't pass that sort of like phone audition. But that was that when Des Lyland presented that many, many years ago, I think.
Yeah, that was the first year I did Mastermind. Yeah. They were filming at the same time, and that's very, very specialist. What made you take that step from being a member of a team to the whole focus being on you with something like Mastermind?
I think it was something. It wasn't like something that was on my bucket list. Oh, I must go and sit in the black chair and do that. It just felt like the right time. Okay, let's have a go at this. You know, I can do that. And I can remember getting the phone call from the production crew and having to do like a Zoom interview, and then they ask you they do a little round of about half a dozen questions with you, and that felt good. They didn't tell me what the answers were, if I got them right or wrong, even or anything. But I think it was more based on the sort of the chat and the general feel of it, and they let me on apparently. So, but it was my first time applying for Mastermind. I'd applied many times for Only Connect before I got on there. But yeah, I think going on Only Connect just gave me that buzz to go on and want to do something else.
Yeah, and a lot of people get that kind of, you know, the experience, you know, particularly if you've not done a show before, you get treated really well. It's outside of your normal life experience, so it's, you know, it's a good thing to do. Did you feel the same way at the end of your specialist subject round? Because, I mean, Tarantino films are long. There aren't necessarily a huge number of them, but they're long and they're packed full of detail, packed full of memorable witticisms and to and fro's and plot points, etc. To come out of that the other side with 7 points, was that disappointing for you?
I was, when he said 7, because it felt to me like I'd done better than that. I mean, I wasn't counting in my head.
Yeah.
Like it felt okay. I got a few right there, and when he said 7 and the other 2 had got 10, I think before me, I was very deflated at that point with myself, not the show or anything, but just like, oh, I should have done better there, really. Because when you get I can't think what the timescale was, but there was a good sort of 10 or 12 weeks between being told you're on and here's your specialist subject to going on. So you spend a lot of time in that specialist subject there. That's sort of 10 films I had to watch. Yeah. Most of them I watched anyway. The only one I hadn't seen before was Death Proof. So I went back and watched them all in order, sort of spent a lot of time going through, finding all those little details, all those quirky little things. So you spend a lot of time locked into that subject. And then when it's all over in like a couple of minutes, it condensed it. And when you realise that you haven't actually done as well as you should have done, it was disappointing with myself more than anything. Not because what I did was, I think when I watched the previous series, someone had a similar subject. I think it was Terry Gilliam films. And there was a lot of questions about cast and crew and about sort of production stuff. which didn't come up in my. I sort of did do sort of a lot of checking of who was the director of photography, who was the editor and stuff like that, or any production notes, which none of that came up. Maybe because it was a first round. I don't know. Mine seemed to be more about. But there were so many like films within Tarantino stuff, which a lot of them came up. But yeah, so there was a lot of there's a lot of stuff to take in for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, looking at you got Forrest, Cabo San Lucas, Brittle, Raven McCoy. You know, you could have got 11.
Raven McCoy at the end, because the buzzer had gone, so I did have time to sort of have a proper think about it, and I didn't. I could have given myself another 5 seconds or so, and I might have found that. So I was disappointed with myself on that.
Yeah. Well, as I always say, and I bore people with saying it, the first time you go on Mastermind is just for reconnaissance. Knowing now what it's like, would you approach that subject differently?
What I've done, and someone's already texted me to say this, you need a study buddy. You need to have somebody to talk to about it. Because you're so much into it, and films are actually a good communal thing to do. So if you can sort of have that experience of having a watch along and someone to share things with you and to sort of maybe prime you with questions, I think that's a good idea. Whatever your specialist subject is, just have someone to talk to. They don't have to be with you when you go there, but it's a very lonely existence being a Mastermind contestant. I would suggest having somebody who you can bounce some ideas off and have a chat with.
Yeah. Did you use anything like flashcards, or did you write just copious notes? Or
I have my notebook right here, actually, which has got my terrible scrawl. No one will be able to read anything, but it's I had a spreadsheet for each film. I started off with it was very colourful on Reservoir Dogs because I had every actor colour coded for their character and things like that. Very little of that came up. The only one that came up was Mr. Black, who wasn't even in the film. So yeah, so there was lots of that, finding production notes and things, or finding memorable quotes. Like I said, there's a lot of films within films, or lots of. I just watched it back then. The second question I got was, what was the breed of dog that appears in Reservoir Dogs? And I can just remember being like an Alsatian. I think I said German Shepherd, so I got the point for it. But that was the sort of thing that there was one, and I can remember I just watched it back about half an hour ago, when he asked me about what airport does Jackie Brown fly in from, and I can remember that morning thinking about it and thinking I should know that, and I didn't double check it, and that was something. And as soon as he said it, I was like, I should have double checked that.
They found the blind spot.
They did, yes.
It was an interesting show in terms of some of the subjects. It felt like, Peter the Great was a standard biographical subject, but then Exmoor National Park, very broad topic, when it can be anything geological, events, towns, whatever. That was very broad. The Cicero trilogy, Robert Harris, you might think 3 books is not that big, but actually
Anne actually said to me, because I was talking to Anne, and I said there's like 10 Tarantino films, they're all about 2.5 hours. She said her books were like 40 hours worth of literature, so that was a lot to take in there.
Huge amounts of plot points. You could tell that she knew the books, but fishing out the details under pressure with a time pressure, it just I think that's where she struggled, because some of the answers you could see that she kind of knew the shape of the word, knew that it started with a certain letter, but she just couldn't get to it. I felt for her, because people might say, 3 books, that's not really enough of a subject. But as you say, if you're going to read them all and get all those details, all the characters, all the plot points, there's just, I would never do a series of books. That's for sure.
There was a funny thing, actually. We recorded that in about July or something. And then a couple of months later, I was at home in the day, and I just had the television on, and Mastermind Repeat was on. And I sort of walked back into the room, and Anne was on. And I was like, oh my God, they're showing my heat. But she'd been on before a couple of years ago. So I suddenly had that moment. That's me. No, it's not. It was just Anne had been on before. So
I remembered her name. At the end of the first round, there's 10, 10, 7, 5. Realistically, you're still in with a shot. 3 points, you can make it up. Anne got off to a flyer. She had a great round.
She had a belting round.
Superb. That 13 points on general knowledge. 18 has won several times this series.
Yeah.
So
there was a funny thing when there was a pickup on my round. And while they were doing that, the floor manager just said to Anne something about, "Oh, so Anne, do you think would you apply again?" Obviously, because she obviously knew she'd done it before. I had to stop her and say, "Hang on, she's the clubhouse leader at the moment. She's not out of this one yet. She could still win it."
Oh dear. Yeah, I mean, to say, you wouldn't expect necessarily 18 to win, but it can win. And then when you didn't manage to overhaul her, and then Seb, he drew level, but he'd passed. He'd done a lot of passes, and it was a real shame watching Seb. He kind of fell into a pass spiral at one point in his general knowledge.
There was one when I think there was a question about which airport is named after the president, and he thought for about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And sorry, Seb, but say a president's name.
Yeah.
Even if it's wrong, it doesn't matter. There's 40 presidents, isn't it? Yeah.
But in the moment, that turmoil in your head can be so much that it's hard to think clearly, and even a slight pause feels like forever. But yeah, Ronald Reagan, Melbourne Cup, Charlie Higson, he just it really knocked him, and those passes meant that he was never going to win anyway, because Anne hadn't passed, and then Karen steps up and puts in a solid 11-point general knowledge round, and wins relatively comfortably. But
it was actually quite nice watching it, because when you're in the chair, when you're at home, you count along how many you've done. When you're in the chair, you don't. You just concentrate on your questions. And I was watching her, and I'm counting in my head how she's done, and I realised she'd won by a couple of points. And then, but she was just so tense. And then when Clive said, "You've done it," you could almost feel the tension just go from her. She just absolutely relaxed then all of a sudden, because she had no idea. She wasn't counting along. She had no idea that she'd done it. So,
there was one other question to bring up, I guess. You asked for a repeat, which doesn't happen very often. The Rishi Sunak question. Was that a case of not hearing it properly, or not kind of passing it in your head and understanding what you were being asked?
I mean, first of all, how many prime ministers have there been since that time? It's not, so many to choose from. But when he said the question, it was which future prime minister married at somewhere, and the two parts of the question didn't seem to add up to me, and I just misheard it. And then when he repeated it to me, I was probably in that blind of what have I just done?
Yeah.
And the floor manager said to me afterwards, "Oh, you scunned yourself there, didn't you?" And scunned isn't a word you hear very often. Obviously, in Belfast, it's probably normal.
Yeah.
But I just didn't I didn't process that question, and that did throw me a little bit then. So.
Yeah, no, you could see that, and sometimes that just does happen. That you just, there's a phrasing or something which.
Yeah, it just didn't. The rhythm of the question didn't follow to me. So, and it's absolutely my bad.
Yeah. So, Karen Ellis goes through. Clearly, we could see that Anne is a player who could come back and do well next time. You've got that feel now that you kind of know how it all works. Would you go for it again?
Yeah, I'd probably give it a series or so, just to sort of get myself in the rhythm. I mean, what you do when you go on any quizzes, you rehearse that quiz. You go back and watch. So I spent a lot of time going through the previous series, understanding how the questions are written and stuff.
Yeah.
The difference between this and doing Only Connect is you're on your own. When you go in, you're locked in your own little dressing room, and all you're doing is thinking about your specialist subject. And I had the Mastermind quiz book, so I was going through Mastermind questions as well, trying to balance those two out. So it is it's a very sort of locked in experience. And afterwards, it was funny how different it was afterwards, because we were the first heat on that morning. We recorded at like 9 o'clock or something. How much more chatty we all were with each other afterwards, because beforehand we're just all thinking, so what was the title of that film, or who's that character's name, or whatever. Everyone is just so locked in, whereas Only Connect, I think, it was a little bit more, it's just because it is general knowledge. If you can't rehearse for it, so with this you're just practicing, going, I must know this subject.
Yeah, absolutely. Catherine has said, congratulations to Karen from a fellow autistic woman.
Yeah, that was a lovely little bit at the end as well, because my son is sort of, we're waiting a diagnosis, but it's great to see that sort of being out there. And I've not kept in touch with anyone. I'd love to get in touch, but it was a lovely little thing she said at the end.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Jonathan. I know it's
That's all right,
getting
Gareth,
late,
thank you.
and really appreciate it. Next week, the subjects are films of Martin McDonagh, Dorothy Parker, US presidential elections from 1948 to 2000, and the music of Tom Waits. Even if you haven't been playing our prediction competition thus far, you can join by going to tinyurl.com/mm-predict-23, and you can join the fun. And maybe just maybe you might end up winning. We had Ed saying, "My reign of terror is over. The king is dead. Long live the king." Ed, we know you'll be back. You've been scoring heavily week after week. We know you'll be back. Jonathan, thanks so much.
My other highlight of the night was, and I said this to him, I got Clive Myrie to say bastards at 7:30 on a Monday night on television. That's my claim to fame now.
Excellent. That's a wonderful claim to fame to have. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thank you, Gareth, and thank you for everything you do, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. So we will now move on to Quiz Week and the news from the world of quiz. Here we go. So last week's Quizzer of the Week was Victoria Gross. She was in Torremolinos, where I was, and she won, I think, 7 medals. She medaled in every single competition that she took part in. Fantastic performance. Second was Galen Chung, who won the television specialist quiz. Also second, Dow Jackson, who came number one. He was number one under 30-year-old player, second in the individual tournament. The individual tournament was won by Dejan Kotiga of Croatia. So heavily represented in that competition in the vote for Quizzer of the Week. So well done to them. Team of the Week was USA. They won the Nations Cup. The first time USA has medalled at any major tournament. Second was Suncatchers from Onikaek. Third, Thomas Colosetta and Victoria Gross. Thomas from Norway, Victoria from USA in the pairs competition. So well done to all of those. We've got loads and loads of nominations for Quizzer and Team of the Week this week. And I'm going to struggle to read these. So let's see how I do. I might put it full screen. Just there you go. So Dan Adler won today's Brain of Britain semi-final. Ola Bjorton got 7 out of 8 in QLL's President's Cup. Brian Craythorne got an OQL full house. James Davison, as we saw earlier, got 9 starters on University Challenge, so well done to him. Fantastic performance. Amit D got an OQL full house. Pat Gibson won the most recent Quest Grand Prix at the weekend. He keeps winning those Grand Prix. Pat is on a rare run of form at the moment. And here's a superb quizzer. Rob Hansen, Quiz League of London full house. Now, Germany has a brilliant quiz organization. I believe they've got over 1,000 members, and they've been having regional competitions. So there are a lot of people who've been doing well in their regional competitions over the last weekend. Manuel Hobiger was the individual champion in Bavaria. Sebastian Klusman, the individual champion in Berlin. Evan Lynch won the latest Pop Culture Challenge. It's a shame Lewis isn't with us tonight because Lewis read that final. You can watch it on YouTube. So Evan won the Pop Culture Challenge. Very, very close match. Very good match. He also got a full house in OQL. Michael McPartland, who's been in the chat tonight, won on Steph's Pack Lunch. Get the picture. He's the weekly champion with what I believe is a record score. And previously has won on a competition on Steph's Pack Lunch. So doing well on the TV quizzing is Michael. Torsten Riemath won the Hamburg Individual Championships. Sabine Sangel, North Rhine-Westphalia individual champion. Phil Small got an OQL full house and was runner-up in the Pop Culture Challenge. Final, Jürgen Stelter, Brandenburg's individual champion. Hannes Unverfert, the Mecklenburg-Vorpommern regional champion. And Cao Yuji was the winner of episode 7 of the Chinese National Treasures quiz show. And we heard earlier about Karen. Karen won Mastermind, and she gets a nomination. You can have a vote at tinyurl.com/QW13nov23 to find a winner there. And for Team of the Week, 5-4-12 won the Mecklenburg-Vorpommern Team Championship. Billebecker Blind Chickens won in North Rhine-Westphalia. Chaotic Good MILF Hotel in OQL USA were the top scorers, and they are top of Division 1 as ever. with an unbeaten 100% record. Martin Earl and Christoph Paninka won the pairs in Bavaria. Sebastian Klusman and Jörg Schenk did the same in Berlin. Methusalem and Benjamin won the Bavarian Team Championship. OQL came to an end this week, and the Motley Crew, with our very own Gerard, won the... there we go. Go Motley Crew, says Gerard. Won the OQL Division 1 Championship, so well done to them at the end of a hard-fought tournament. At the bottom of that Division 1 table was another team that we don't talk about, but we'll enjoy Division 2 next season. Post-Factual Answer Syndicate won the Hamburg Team Championship. Practical Dr. Bulobogen won the Berlin Team Championship. Making it even easier on myself, Privo Plasirani won the Croatian Team Championship. That was held in Zagreb. There are over 400 players at that tournament at the weekend, and they came out top there. Romanona won the Brandenburg Team Championship. The Zoomsbury group were the top scorers in OQL this week. We saw the Stitchers earlier win Only Connect, and Open University win University Challenge. So well done to all of those. A shout out to the Tyrell Corporation. They've been promoted to Division 1 of OQL, finishing second in Division 2. They've had a rise through the divisions over the course of the last 9 seasons, steadily getting there. When they've got the likes of Brian Craythorne, for example, you know that they're a good team. Ed is saying, not nervous at all about having to face Motley Crew in week 1 of the Handicap Cup on Wednesday. Ed, that's what the handicap's for. You know, you're going to be competitive. They're a good team, but you've got free guests. And you should have a good shot there. Events coming up. The All Things Quiz members quiz is on 26th of November. It's on Zoom. You can be a Patreon member to come and play. You can join up for a free trial a week before and try it for free. So try that. Quiz in the North is back, 9th of December in Wakefield. Look on Facebook for details on that. All of our links are on Linktree. You can see the address below. So anything that we say here, including our website, allthingsquiz.com, where you can find all of our results and all of our event coverage and everything, and links to all sorts of organizations. It's all on there. And don't forget, you can nominate a quizzer or a team for quizzer or team of the week at tinyurl.com/ATQ nominations. If you don't nominate people or teams, then it's all down to me to spot what's been going on. So don't leave it up to me. Put a nomination in, and you could see that nomination here next week. So that is the end of Quizzy Monday for this week. We've had a great set of guests. Thea, Elizabeth, Rachel, and I think it was Chris from Only Connect. And we had our friends from Open University. And of course, we had Jonathan with us tonight talking about Mastermind. We will be back next week with another range of guests talking about the best in the world of quiz. Don't forget to vote for What is the Question at tinyurl.com/WITQ. I forgot what it is, and Valerie's not here. It might be Sister. I don't think it is. Pond, WITQ Pond. And you can vote for Team of the Week and Quizzer of the Week at tinyurl.com/QW 13Nov23. We'll be back next week. Gerard is going to check whether he's playing. And good luck between Ed and Gerard in that match. We'll look out for that score. Until next week, have a fantastic week of quizzing. We will see you again soon. Goodbye, everybody.